So it's that time of year again. It's the time when everything's growing again and there's more things to do in the garden. And a lot of the things in the garden are to do with seedlings and young plants. And that's why today's video I'm going to be speaking to you about how to prick on seedlings. So this is normally, or prick out some people call it, this is normally when the seedlings get to about maybe a few centimetres tall, and you pot them out. If they're in one big seed tray, you put them out into individual containers or pots so that they can then grow on to be big plants. Before this video gets started, make sure you go down below, hit the subscribe button as well as the little bell icon to make sure you're notified next time I upload a new video. And I recently surpassed 1,000 subscribers, so let's try and get to 1,500. So what I'll be pricking out today is some basil seedlings that have been in a little propagator tray in my greenhouse for a few weeks now. And I found basil to be really slow growing seedlings, so that's why, because they're in the same pot at the moment, I'm going to put them on into individual modules on a module tray. So what you'll need today is you'll need obviously some seedlings that need pricking out. You'll need some a pencil or a lollipop stick can do as well. I've used both. This is just what I've got at hand because I couldn't find any lollipop sticks, and that's for teasing the roots out really carefully with the plant. And also another thing that you'll need is going to be some multi-purpose compost. I use peat-free personally, but whatever you can get your hands on, ideally peat-free. And then you'll need something to prick them out into, either individual pots or a module tray. So firstly, why do you need to prick out your seedlings? Well, the main reason is to give them enough space for the individual plant to grow on. Some plants like beetroot do well being multi-sown, so having more than one next to each other. But some, like with basil, you can multi-sow it, but I want to have them individual because I'm going to plant them around the base of my tomatoes. But this video is versatile and can be used for any seedling just about. So I've done it with my lettuce recently, and what you do is you literally just take it out of the seed tray it's already in and put it into an individual modular pot. And this gives it enough room for the roots to grow out and fill the pot, and then the plant will get big enough for that pot, and then you plant it out. But the main thing is because a lot of people, like I did with the basil, is they like to sow all their seeds into one seed tray, which is just one tray really, that they can just put it all in there, and then when they germinate, then they put them into their own individual modules. I do a bit of both really, where I sometimes put them in their own individual modules as seeds, and I also prick out some things, so it really depends on what it is. With leafy things, like salad and maybe basil, I tend to do this, but with things like brassicas and anything else really, I don't tend to do this. And now, let's get on with pricking out. So I'm over here now. I don't know why I did that silly transition, to be honest, and I'm just going to fill the module tray with some compost. So I'm going to get my gloves on, and then I'm going to get potting on, or pricking out should I say. I always feel like a bit of a surgeon putting gloves on in videos like this, like that. Okay, so let's just fill this module tray with some compost. I know a lot of people think they need to be really careful with all their seedlings, and as you may have noticed, or someone commented on my tomato potting on video, is that I wasn't very gentle with them when I watered. I just put a rose straight on the leaves. And it's a bit of a myth that you shouldn't water onto the leaves of plants. It doesn't actually burn them, and they won't be that much worse off for it. And I often just like to do that because it just saves me a lot of time. So I just fill these up, just fill them to the brim as well. You don't need to leave any space in there yet. And then you just firm them down a bit, maybe put a little bit more in that one. And there we are. That one is fine, and I think I'll only need one for today. So I'm going to take my gloves off now for the next bit because it can get quite fiddly. Okay, so what you're going to need here is you're going to need your basil seedlings, and you'll need your module tray or pots full of compost. So what I'm doing here is I'm using my pencil, or you can use a lollipop stick, just to get tease out really gently the roots of the seedling and put them into a hole that's a bit bigger than the size of the roots so that you don't damage them as they go in. And then you just gently compact down around the plant, and really try not to damage the roots here because that could be a really bad outcome for the plant. And then, as you saw just then as well, don't forget the label because I often do that. And also, you may be able to see I'm handling by the leaves. Try not to handle them by the stem if it can be avoided, because if you do break the stem then it probably will die, whereas if you break a leaf it might recover. So here's another shot. As you can see, I'm making the hole really big compared to the plant, so that there's enough space for me to wiggle the roots in without damaging them. And there we go, this is my last one going in now. So you should have gotten the gist of it from here now. It's just to be really gentle and try your best not to break it. So I've done the 6 strongest seedlings now, and they're all in the module tray, as you'll have seen in my voiceover clips. And I've still actually got some young seedlings in here now. You may have been able to see them then when I held it up. But what I'm going to do with them is I'm going to put them back in the propagator in the greenhouse, and I'm just going to try and get them to go a bit bigger, and then I can pot them on as well. I didn't have any luck with basil last year, but it's actually a complementary plant of tomatoes, which is why I'm trying to grow it, so I can have it in my harvester greenhouse there, around the base of the tomatoes, which I actually planted out my first tomato the other day, which is quite exciting. And you wouldn't think it was actually May with the really bad weather that we've got at the moment. So that's how you do that, that's how you prick out your seedlings. And you can do this with, as I said, basil, lettuce, salad things, most things. Root vegetables like to be direct sowed, they don't like to be fiddled around with, because then you get wonky carrots and wonky parsnips and whatnot. But for things that don't have roots, like, or well, they have roots obviously, but they don't have grow the vegetable as a root, things like the basil, the lettuce, maybe even brassicas as well. I tend not to do this, but a lot of people do have a brassica seed bed. But anyway, and I also think actually, before I move on, that onions, if you start onions from seed, then they like to be pricked out into their own individual pots. I think that anyway, but don't quote me on that because I've never successfully grown onions from seed. But anyway, that's how you do that, and now this is how you care for them now once you have pricked them out. To care for your newly pricked out seedlings, what you need to do first is you need to give them some water. And here I'm just filling it with rainwater. And also you need to make sure that you don't damage them when you are watering, which is why I've got this quite fine rose on the end of the watering can here. I've also had some comments before about watering directly onto the leaves, and it doesn't really damage the plants, and the main damage that it does is that the water will evaporate a lot quicker, so you'll lose a lot more water. So that's done now. I've watered them, and I'm going to put them back in the greenhouse now, because if you can't tell already, it's very windy outside, and I hate wind. I hate it more than the rain. If you've been watching this for a while, you know how much I hate wind. But anyway, I'm going to put them back in now. Sorry if it's shaky, I'm just doing it by hand. I might put them in my harvester actually, because that'll make sure that they're wet all the time. And it's important that you do water them, because they may have lost some of their microscopic root fibres, or roots that we can't see to our untrained eyes, that may be crucial to their water uptake. So they may just need even more water in their soil for them to actually take it in. So I'm actually just going to put these up here, next to these lettuce seedlings that I potted on the other day. And these lettuce look quite dead, because a lot of them actually are, because they're on this top shelf. I completely forgot about them after I pricked them out, so I didn't water them, so yeah, rookie error. But anyway, we learn, and I've watered them, and I think 3 or 4 of them still look alive, so that's okay. 3 or 4 out of 7 is, well, that's actually not too bad, is it? It's awful. Anyway, in this greenhouse as well, I haven't shown in here for ages because I haven't made a video for ages because it's been such awful weather and I've been really busy with school. But all these up here are cosmos, and I've got loads of them, so I need to find places to put them. I've got some cucumber that I couldn't fit in the windowsill, and I've got some beetroot that's taking an absolute age to actually germinate, so I'm not sure how well that's going to do. I've only got 3 of them actually growing. But anyway, that's what I've got in this greenhouse. I've also almost forgot the most important thing. I've actually got some cucumbers that I've planted out into big pots now. So I'm just clearing up now. I've just cleared the compost up, and I actually did film myself doing that, but I forgot to press the red record button, so you're not going to see that unfortunately. But I'm just putting things back to how they were because it's quite windy and I don't want anything to blow around. So I'm just getting the thing that goes on my potting tray, and I can link this down in the description again because this is something that I really enjoy using now. I didn't used to use it very much, but I do quite a lot now, so I'll leave a link to one of them down in the description. And there's also, at the bottom of the description on all my videos, I've always got some of my favourite products and sort of products, services, companies, things like that, linked at the bottom of my description. So if you ever want to get some cool gardening things, or if you want to invest in your garden, then there's some cool things down at the bottom. I actually bought these, they're pelargoniums, but they say geraniums on them, from a big chain shop the other day. I don't really go there very often, it's not really the shop I visit very often, but I thought I'd just get some because they were a really good deal as well, and they're just good to plonk in a pot and they'll flower and they're really pretty. Okay, so that's it, and now I'm just going to take that watering can back. But that's all I have for today's video, so make sure you go down below, hit the subscribe button, like the video and share with your friends. Thank you for watching, and I'll see you next time.